It's time for the segment. And my good friend Tone.
Big Sills, is that Danny DeVito that that you're talking about? Little Danny DeVito. About? You know what I mean?
Jesus. The Giants are a shit show.
Oh man. Like
you're an Eagle fan, you have to love it, man. I mean, it's one thing if he was underachieving, Tone. He was the first team All-Pro.
Yeah, man, I don't get it. That's a D lineman you're getting rid of there.
It's not 2 and a 5 too.
And you just paid him.
And you ate the cap.
I'm struggling. You know what? The Giants, we thought they were trending in the right direction, right? And
Fool's gold.
Then they fell in love with the fool's gold. They fell in love with the fool's Jones. You know what I'm saying? They thought they had a guy. They paid the wrong guy. They franchised Saquon. They had a whole offseason disputing with him. And then you make these boneheaded front office moves. It's just so many questions, man, around that organization. They can't get out their own way. And, like you said, we're not going to have to worry about them for the foreseeable future. And then the Commanders, man, they played us tough for sure, man. As long as Josh Harris owns that team, I don't see them really being a true threat in the end, but they're always going to play us tough every single year. So I got a lot of
takeaway from the game.
My takeaway from that game is we have to stop turning the ball over, flat out. And let me start with the positives, right? I love the way Jalen Hurts approached that game, going 29 for 38, 319, 4 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, still had the fumble. But I love the way he approached that game, even though he was a little bit hobbled, only got sacked twice. Given the fact that he was limited in the rushing game, still managed to inflict his will on the game. I was truly impressed with the way Jalen Hurts played that game at the end of the day. AJ Brown, man, he's a god. It's just some things are guaranteed: death, taxes, and AJ Brown. You know what I'm saying?
Better every week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's at a point now where teams like that second touchdown, he was double teamed. The safety was over the top, and the other guy had inside leverage.
The one-handed catch?
No, that was the first one.
All right.
The second one, the safety had him over the top. The corner had outside leverage. Jalen Hurts hit him with the back shoulder, and AJ just did AJ Brown things. I'm really impressed with Jalen Hurts' ability to battle through this knee issue that he is dealing with right now. It's no secret. It is what it is. Devontae Smith managed to come through and do his thing. You brought up a very interesting point about the way the offense is being called, with the lack of balance. And for me, I'm always on the side of balance, right? I'm always on the side of having a dominant rushing attack and having a dominant pass attack, right? Because I believe those two things work in concert. I will say this:
it works in concert with your identity too, Tone.
Yeah, especially with your personnel as well. To throw them some bail, they got down double digits pretty early, and I think the coaching staff got a little trigger happy. I mean, granted, Hurts was accurate. It wasn't like they weren't moving the ball; he was accurate. I would probably be more concerned if they were throwing interceptions and all that kind of stuff. They turned it up in the second half. That defense. Look, I've come to this conclusion with the Philadelphia Eagles defense, right? They go as far as that pass rush will take them. That's number one. Number two, they definitely missed Jalen Carter. That's without a doubt. Number three, we're on a week-to-week basis with them because they're battling injuries like every team is. I'm not saying that as an excuse, but just based off their situation, they've had, I believe, through 8 weeks, they've had 5 to 6 different DB combinations out there. They've had like 8 different slot corners out there over the past several weeks. So there's a lack of continuity. There's a lapse in communication out there, which is why I believe they're looking as bad as they are. And also, we talk about it all the time. It's a week-to-week league. It's hard to, I know the layman will say, hey, you shut down Tyreek Hill and those guys, right? How couldn't you shut down Sam Howell and those guys? It's easy to say.
May I say it without anybody getting offended? It's a flip-flop league. Because
it's really that simple. It's really that simple.
One day you go like this. We just killed the Dolphins.
Yeah.
We just murdered the Dolphins, and we struggle against Sam Howell.
Yeah, the Bills murdered the Dolphins, and then they lose to the Patriots. You get what I mean? So it's like it's so hard, especially on defense, right? It seems like offenses are more consistent than defenses lately. And the reality is, I look at this Philadelphia Eagles defense as a team that they're timely. And that's kind of what I asked for in the offseason. I said, if this defense can get timely stops when it matters most, I can live with everything else because they're going to be a work in progress. But overall, I was pleased with the win. The score really should have been 38-24, but they let them get that garbage TD. But overall, scary game in the first half. They almost had us on the ropes, but Jalen Hurts did Jalen Hurts things, man. And I'm really impressed with the way he handled himself.
How about this? Do you agree with me that last year's offensive approach struck more fear in opponents than what they're doing right now?
I think that's a fair assessment for the simple fact that when you have such a dominant rushing attack and how consistent it was at that, you not only have to be concerned with getting beat over the top, you got to be concerned with getting punched in the mouth. And over the past few weeks, the rushing attack hasn't been as dominant, nowhere near as dominant as we're used to seeing it. I've realized in that game because I watched some of it back when I had the opportunity. The Commanders, in particular in this game, the Commanders were stacking the box and they were forcing the Eagles. Listen, they told the Eagles, "You're not running the ball today." That's what they told them, and that's what their personnel choices indicated. So the Eagles had to take what they gave them. And if you notice in this game, neither team really ran the ball. It seemed like both teams said to themselves, "No one's running the ball today," and
Right.
we're going and it's going to be a shootout. So I kind of lean towards John McMullen's way of thinking in terms of every game has an identity, has a complexion to it, and it's hard to expect the same results week to week to week. In terms of what a defense is giving you, right? You have to take what they're giving you. But I would agree with you on this though, right? If last year's team went up against this year's team, and just based off how they played, last year's team will win because three reasons.
Balance.
Three reasons, right? One, balance. Two, they didn't turn the ball over. And three, they were dynamic in the red zone.
Correct.
So those three things, and again, this is how this is the beauty of covering this team right now, right? And I'm pretty sure so you can add to this, right? We're comparing the Philadelphia Eagles to themselves now.
But that's
what I mean?
I don't want to compare them to Dallas.
Exactly.
Because that's how you play down to your opponent.
Exactly.
You have set a standard in Philly that should be only gauged against Philly, not against Arizona, not against Washington, not against. That's what Dallas does every year. You know what they do? They gauge themselves versus other teams in the NFC. And when you do that, you find out, hey, we're better than the Giants. Well, at the end of the day, when you were saying that a year ago, that really doesn't look all that impressive now.
I'll take it a step further for you. The Cowboys, they're kind of snake bitten. And I say this why? Because they've been pocket watching the 49ers for the past several years. And they keep saying to themselves, we're better than them. We're going to beat them. We're going to beat them. And they put so much energy and so much of their time and preparation towards that singular matchup that when it finally comes, they're not even ready. And then on top of that, they forgot the game plan for the other opponents. They're so singularly focused on, they're so fixated on trying to prove other people wrong when in reality, they need to focus on what's going on in their own establishment.
Insecurity.
They're insecure. They're a very insecure organization. And
that's from the owner on down. Tone, I said this in the first hour too. This is an opportunity right now for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I swear to you, on my God, I don't give a shit about Kansas City. I don't care about Buffalo. I want that Cowboy game. I want to beat them up. I want to choke them out like Habib. I want to put their face and I want to kick their ass all up and down the field so that you leave no doubt that, get this, Hoss, you can talk the game. We played a game. And to me, this is a chance to put that Cowboy team to sleep.
I want to embarrass them, honestly. So I want to completely let them know they're not in the same class. You don't
have to do it, Tone, on the scoreboard. You can do it with being – hey, by the way, if you start throwing a ball around the yard like you did with the Commanders, you play right into Dan Quinn. They want you to do that. Mm-hmm. If one thing Dallas has shown you this year, Dallas has got a pretty good back end. But I'll tell you what, man, you can run them over. Run them over.
I agree with you 100%. You think about all their losses, they couldn't stop the run for the most part. And you think about who they've beaten. I mean, how much stock can I put into
LA
you
teams and New York teams, really?
Exactly. You've beaten two of the softest markets right now. New York can't find, they can't tell the difference between a glory hole and whatever, like, you know what I
Love
mean?
it. Way to go.
And then
now you're becoming like Big Sills. There we go, Tone.
and then the Rams, and then the Rams and the Chargers, they have no fan base. So, I mean, how much stock can I put into you beating the 2 LA and the 2 New York teams, 2 of the most dysfunctional teams right now? Man, I'll probably say New York's more dysfunctional than LA, and the Rams are trending in the right direction. But the bottom line is you beat 2 teams that are just not there. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they want to be, right? The moment you came up against a team that had any kind of identity, any kind of, stature, you got smoked. How can, and then you lost to what's so funny? You lost to the worst team in the NFL, and you lost to the team that some people think is the best team in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I respect your organization? How can I respect the team? You know what I'm saying? Now, I got some people that, I respect that are Cowboys fans, so I won't say I don't respect the fan base because I got people that I actually like in their fan base. But as far as the organization, the team, what they stand for, all that kind of stuff, the flashing lights and the girls and the cigars and the pom-poms and the laser shows and the holograms, and I don't respect none of that shit, Sills. You want to know why? Because at the end of the day, once you step on that grass, you got to show me. And the Cowboys have shown me nothing this season. The Eagles are battle tested. They've been through each and everything from last season to this year. I think this year's team got a better chance of winning it all than last year's. Why? Because they're more scarred.
How about this? And I said this in the first hour as well. I like that win versus the Commanders more than I like that win versus the Dolphins.
Really interesting. How come?
Well, you didn't have all your talented DTs in there.
Okay.
Your quarterback is more banged up than what people are saying.
Right.
Your red zone offense is not trending well. You're turning the ball over. Your secondary was annihilated. You could have easily have done this. God, we're playing the shitty Commanders, and look at what we're doing here. And yet you fought through it. And guess that's the things that you do are the things that Dallas loses. Every other team in this league loses games like that. You fought through it. You played a really good game against Miami. You didn't really play at all worth of anything on defense.
Right.
We have no one to run Dallas over with. Got to pass. Well, guess what? You'll be in trouble because Dak will throw for 500 yards on you.
I'm not buying that, because it begins with the offensive line.
Well, then you don't have to. If you can't run the ball, you don't have the best O-line in football anymore.
Yeah.
You can't go around being a Cowboys tone and tell people that the last 3 weeks we haven't run 100 yards rushing, and you're telling everyone you have the best O-line in football, and you haven't displayed that.
Yeah, I think this has to be a week where the Eagles kind of get back to the balanced approach, right? When I think about how the Eagles beat them last year, they were very balanced. They were very physical. And like you said, this isn't a game where you want to put up 38, 35 points. This is a game where you want to beat them 24-10. You want to beat them 28-17. You want to physically impose. Yeah, you want to physically impose them. This is a game that you want it to be a slow death for them, slow and steady, and just continue to pound them, because eventually they're going to break.
Tone, in the 3-minute mark, I want to laugh at you.
Yeah.
I just want to start laughing at you when, get this, it's 24/7. How many times have you been or you've watched a game, Tone, where you go like this, man, that 24/7 feels like 54/7. I mean, there's no chance that team is coming back. Let me throw this at you here. Our corners are terrible. And boy,
they look old, man.
At the beginning of the year.
They look old, man.
And boy, I'll tell you something. Remember what we said at the beginning of the year? And people fought me in here, hand over fist. They said Slay is this, and I said Slay hasn't been good, and he's going to have flashes where he's good, but he is not going to be. His best football was in last year's first 8, but since the middle of last year, he's been terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Tone, it's the reason that they were playing 10 yards off the ball. How do you call yourself an all-pro corner when you're playing 10 yards off the ball and you can't play press coverage because you don't have the skill set to play press coverage? And I think it's also the fundamental scheme that they have as an Eagle.
Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
think
willing
the
to say.
scheme
I
is
think
that
it's a
way too.
yeah, I think it's more of a philosophy thing in terms of that part. But just as far as just with the eye test though, Slay and Bradbury don't seem they seem like they've lost a step. If you ask me, that's that's just
Do
my
you think
humble
C.J.
opinion. I mean,
Gardner-Johnson's loss is more of a factor than what we thought it was going to be?
yes, I believe they're feeling it. I believe they're feeling it. I'm not gonna pretend like they're not, because that would be disingenuous. I think they are feeling it. I think they can get that back on track though with the Kevin Byard hire because again, you threw him in there on kind of 3 days notice. He has to prepare for a team that he, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. So he has to acclimate himself to that, right? Reed Blankenship coming back from an injury, still got to get his legs under him. I like Reed. I like Kevin Byard. Obviously, I think this safety room has potential to be more fundamentally and technically sound than last year. But last year they made more plays and they were a little bit more stout. So, the reality is, man, I think the safety room can get better with the Kevin Byard addition. But to your immediate question, are they missing CJ Gardner-Johnson? I would be a liar if I said that they weren't.
I'll say this to you about Nakobe Dean, and I'm going to be nice.
Oh no, please just say what it is, man, because
I'm
I'm one of
gonna
those
be
guys
nice
that
to
I'm
the
not.
fact that personally, I think they've put him in not just his head trending water. I think they got him underwater, and I think they've been very unfair with the kid and how they've developed him. They haven't developed him. They threw him into the fire and said, "Put the office fire out," without learning how to use the hose. I mean, you threw that kid with only 30 plays a year ago into the Mike linebacker position where he had that tight end from the Commanders I've never heard of.
Oh yeah,
Worked him the
him.
entire game to a point where they were targeting him. And I'm sitting there going, why are you playing him? You are putting a guy into a game that doesn't. Cunningham and Morrow are better ball players. They're playing better, but they think this rotation and getting him in there is important. If they do that to the Cowboys, I'm telling you, Dak will throw for 400 yards against that team because they're going to go right at him, Tone.
Mhm.
They're going to go at the safeties. Blankenship was terrible. The pick was great, no doubt. Was a Sam Howell overthrow.
Yeah, that was the worst game I've seen him play. That was the worst game I see replay. So I don't think that's his.
They're going to attack that whole middle of the field there because they don't cover.
Yeah, I don't think that's really
Your
baseline.
corners are
I
off
definitely
10
think.
yards.
Yeah. Nakobe Dean, he was a liability yesterday. It's no question about it. Reed Blankenship, that was the worst game he's ever played as a Philadelphia Eagle. I don't think that's his baseline though. But as far as Nakobe Dean goes, in that linebacker position, look, I've been of the camp that I don't understand why we're so gung ho about throwing him out there. Like I don't understand it. Is it because we drafted him? Is it because he's Georgia Bulldog? Like, I don't understand the love affair with him when in reality he hasn't really shown us really anything to truly invest.
You do.
Well, I understand it, but as far from an emotional standpoint, it's almost like I don't get it. But if I look at it logically, I totally understand why he's out there.
Oh, I want them to know. You know why.
Of course, I know why he's out there. That's
you as a football man, you're going, why would you do this?
Right,
and
exactly.
Then you turn around and you already know the answer because it's a front office. Here lies the difference in why you don't have a guy like Doug in the building versus a guy like Howie. You think? How about this? You think that Kobe Dean would be on a Jim Schwartz defense if he was getting torched like that with Doug Peterson on the sideline?
Man, that's a good question because Howie was That's a good question, man. I don't even know for sure, man, because Howie's still who he is. It's kind of hard to really say that, but Howie Roseman, when he drafts you, he wants you to play. And the reality is especially in pass coverage. And look, he got two tackle for loss in that game. He had some moments where he got in the backfield, but overall, I
didn't have a problem with his run defense.
Yeah, in pass coverage, he doesn't have good angles. He's just not good at it right now.
You know why? It's reps.
And Morrow and Cunningham have the reps.
Hey, how about this? Do I think that kid could get better and be a better ball player? Yeah.
Yeah.
With reps, more looks,
we talk about this all the time off camera. So we talk about this all the time. With him, we're not talking about his talent.
No.
We're talking about the fact of the matter is who's playing better? Who's playing better? Who fits right now?
and experience.
He doesn't have it right now. And I don't have time to groom guys at this point. Not right now. You know, we're in the thick of the season. We're trying to win the Super Bowl here. I would hate to lose a game because, and look, CeeDee Lamb plays in a slot a lot. So, you know, they're going to go right at him.
Right at him.
So
he can't cover him.
Hell no. CeeDee Lamb will go for 200 yards.
I'm going to ask you one more time. Who's the MVP of the team again? Is it Brown or is it Carter?
I mean, I'm not being moved off that, so I'm still going AJ Brown, man.
I'll tell you what, man, your defense looks nothing.
They look bad yesterday. I ain't gonna lie. Listen, all right, I'll put it this way, right? Everything you say about Jalen Carter is absolutely and unequivocally correct. Everything you say about him is correct, right? Everything. But I just lean towards AJ right now. Maybe it's because it's flashier. I'll be honest. Look, maybe I'm biased, right? It's flashier. But, like, I will never discount what Jalen Carter does for that Philadelphia Eagles defense. He makes them easily better. He makes the passers better, run defense better. And maybe because you're a defensive guy, too. You're a defensive guy as well. So you kind of got a soft spot for the DTs.
You know, very good. I didn't think about that. You're right. I do. I'm very biased towards DTs. Fair enough. Yeah, okay. Probably.
You hate receivers, so defensive guys hate receivers.
All right. Okay. Probably very true. Okay. I think AJ Brown got better than last year. I don't think the Eagle offense got better from last year.
But is that an AJ Brown issue or is that a play calling philosophy issue? And I think that's
I don't know. You tell me.
I think it's a philosophy issue. I don't think it's an AJ Brown issue because AJ's not calling the plays. What's happening is they're calling the play. AJ is open. He's getting the ball. He's producing. I can't get mad at him for being great at his job. But what I can do, I can't get upset with the way the balance or the lack thereof is going on in the play calling, right? And again, certain games dictate what you can and can't do at times, right? Sometimes a team's going to stack the box on you, and it's just not smart for you to run the ball in the stack box. That's what the Commanders did. But again, as far as the MVP talk, man, AJ Brown, man, he's just been electric. Like it's when you like that one hand grab was just something like out of a goddamn comic book.
Man,
right?
You love fantasy football, boys. I like yeah, you love that. See, to me, you take Davis or an injured Davis, and you take Carter off that team, you're not beating Dallas. You take AJ off that field.
What's that about?
You take AJ off that field, you still are beating Dallas.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's really hard to say because AJ is such a big part of the offense right now.
Well, you don't have the best O-line in football.
And on top of that, he's such a physical presence. He's a game changer. He's a game breaker. Man. He's a game changer. You know what I'm saying? He's literally unguardable at this point right now. He's hot. You said something earlier. You said, he's just feeling it. He's feeling it.
Oh, he is.
And sometimes when you're just feeling it, man. But no, ultimately, on that defense side of the ball, it's so funny. I do play fantasy every year, but I never pay attention to my lineup at all. I kind of just get into it just because my friends say, "Hey, we're doing it this year." I put the money in the pot, and I kind of go away for several weeks. I'm not really into the whole. I pay more attention to like the actual physicality and nuance of the game. That's what I more so care about. Fantasy talk is more so, again, all the numbers and stuff. You debate that with your homies and all that. But the reality is, I'm not going to deny that trenches win championships. You know what I'm saying? O-line, D-line, that's the reality, right? There are more teams that have had dominant trenches that won Super Bowls than teams that have had dominant wide receivers. So I understand how that dynamic works. It's just hard to ignore what AJ's doing and how he's helping them win games and how clutch his performances have been. But Jalen Carter, man, matter of fact, Hassan Reddick, this dude is like, bro.
He's
did you know he leads the NFL right now with 11.5 sacks? And let me frame it like this: Hassan Reddick leads the NFL with 11.5 fourth quarter sacks over the last 2 seasons. There's no edge rusher, there's no DT, there's no D lineman, there's no one in the game right now that has more fourth quarter sacks than Hassan Reddick over the past 2 seasons. He is a legitimate weapon in clutch moments. That's what you call a clutch performer. That's a pure pass rusher.
That's absolutely a tremendous trend that he has where I said the same thing watching the game, and I saw him get that sack in the fourth, and I'm like, man, when you got a guy that could put an exclamation point on a game like that, I can't tell you the value of having something like that where you just close out a divisional game, a hard-fought game, an NFC game. Home field is being battled for now. There's positioning on who's going to host an NFC title. I mean, all of that. And you get a sack like that on a guy who was torching you the entire game was just absolutely a special moment there. I want to throw this at you too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to keep asking you this question.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
You really think that, okay, T.O. or AJ?
You know what, man? Look, maybe it
Did
may
T.O. play like this? Or how about this? In 2004, did he play better than this?
It just
He had 1,400 yards, I think, Tone, in 12 games or some 13 games because he missed the final 2.
Look, I'll put it like this, right? Maybe it's recency bias, but I gotta go with AJ right now, man. AJ is a freak of nature right now. Big Sills, like, you know, he could have more TDs or whatever, but the reality is, you know, he's on pace to break, you know, Calvin Johnson's, you know, record as far as receiving yards in the season, just like Tyreek Hill
right.
is. But
Owens had 14 touchdowns that year.
yeah, almost. Now, granted, you know, AJ had I think 11 or 12 last season, so that season is more that season mirrors more so the TO season. But from a pure dominance, week after week after week after week after week, AJ Brown's going to crush those TO numbers from a yardage perspective. He's definitely going to break the organization's all-time record in receptions in the season. Right now, Devontae Smith has the record. But again, man. You know, I look at this. You know, you brought up something about the conference, right, and the standings, and how this is such an important week for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I look at it like this: Eagles 7-1, Seahawks 5-2, Detroit 5-2, Dallas 5-2, 49ers 5-3. Those are the 5 teams. No one else, everyone else is irrelevant.
Right after that, it's New Orleans and a bunch of nobodies.
Exactly, right, exactly. So this week it can be so pivotal in terms of really taking a stranglehold on the NFC. You win this game, you go up 8-1, and the Cowboys drop to 5-3. The 49ers are already 5-3. The 49ers play the Jags next week. They can lose that game. So you can legitimately get a stranglehold on your conference before the bye week. And then you come back healthier, and then you set yourself up for that big run against the Chiefs and Bills and you know, all those teams, right? You play the Cowboys again, you got the Seahawks. They have a legitimate chance to give themselves some cushion if they beat the Cowboys this week. This game is so crucial because if you lose, now you're 7-2, Dallas is 6-2. You dig what I'm saying? So this is such an important week for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they understand that in the grand scheme of things.
Cue ball, I saw that about the linebackers. It's been an ongoing situation the last 3 years, actually, in them covering anybody, and there's always had issues. Even last year with TJ Edwards and with Kaiser White.
Yeah, it was still a struggle for sure.
It was still a struggle in covering. I ranked them like this, Tone, in the NFC. And I did throw New Orleans in just because I don't think there's anything. I mean, New Orleans is underachieved at 4-4, in my opinion. Seattle at 5-2, 5.
Did we overvalue Derek Carr? Did we overestimate him?
I overestimated
because I thought he'd be better.
The impact that he would have on the Saints.
Me too. I thought he would bring some stability to that quarterback position, and it just seems like he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde each and every week.
Yeah, and I put. By the way, I'm not really looking at the record here and how I'm ranking them. I got New Orleans 6. I got Seattle 5. I got Cowboys 4. Detroit tonight will tell me a little bit more about them. They're taking on the Raiders, so they're at 5-2 right now. I got the Niners at 5-3 too, and I got the Eagles 1 in the NFC right now. It's funny, Tone. It looks to me that the Eagles haven't regressed as much as the rest of the NFC has regressed.
That's a good point.
To me, that makes them maybe even better than a year ago. And even this point last year, they were 8-0, and right now being at 7-1 with all the issues that they didn't face a year ago, I got to tell you, if you were to tell me what the schedule that they have now, they're coming into the meat of it now. I mean, they're not going to be playing any shitty teams really for the next month and a half. Okay, so they're going to be coming up here now. We're going to find out a ton more, I think, in these next 5 weeks, right, about them. So, still, with that being said, I mean, I think they're ahead of schedule from what I thought they were going to be because,
Agreed.
I mean, with all the holes, and now we're talking injuries, we're talking actually trying to reinvent the offense, the quarterback's injured early in the season versus late in the year. And as you said, this is why this Cowboy game is important because if Hurts is hurt and you put the Cowboys this week at 5-3 and you win and you're 8-1, you got a 2-game lead that if there's any significance where you feel you have to rest your guy in a game against the Giants or something like that where a team has already surrendered, you're going to have the ability to do that like you did a year ago. It'll be like having an extra bye for your quarterback, depending on what issues you have. So I think this Cowboy game is big to I think get as big a lead as you can. I'm concerned about Seattle. The only teams I'm concerned about in the NFC are Seattle, the 49ers, and I'll let you know after tonight, tomorrow with Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit should win this game. Honestly, the Raiders are kind of imploding on themselves. Like this should be a game that they should really not struggle with. They should, in my opinion, they should honestly dominate it. But ultimately, you're right, man. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are ahead of schedule. Like there was a point in time where, I didn't necessarily have them. I had them having a couple more losses prior to being 7-1. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, I thought they would drop the Dolphins game. I thought they would win the Jets game. You know what I'm saying? I thought they would drop one of the Washington games. I really thought that. So I think I had this team being they're 7-1 right now. I think I had them maybe being 6-2 going into the bye week or something like that. But man, you're right. I think it's so funny. We talk about, all the different teams in the NFL and what the Eagles are experiencing right now, the inconsistencies in play calling, the red zone struggles, the turnovers, and all those things are very true. And all those things have to be cleaned up in the long run. But when you actually watch this team and how they've conducted themselves and how they've always been prepared each and every week, yes, they have a loss against the Jets. Should never happen, but it happened. I look at a team that potentially can probably actually win it all this season because of how everything went last year. They seem to be one of the more battle-tested teams right now. And despite all the struggles, they still have this unique quality, this unique trait that propels them to wins. They were down double digits in that game. They were like I can name off a few games where they were down double digits this season, and they found a way to.
They were down 17-10 in both games.
Yep. They were down 17-10 in both games. I think they were down in that Rams game too at one point. They were down in that Patriots game at one point. It's just this team, regardless of the circumstance, they have this unwavering belief that they can win every single game and they don't overlook any opponent. I think that's a skill you need to have in terms of, look, every game's not going to go your way. Certain things are going to happen. How do you respond? Can you stay diligent? Can you stay focused? Can you stay poised when things get shaky? You played this game, Sills, and I'm pretty sure you've been in games where when you thought it would probably be maybe a little bit more. Maybe you thought you guys would have more of a handle on it than you thought, but a game is kind of pushing you to your limit. But you still have this unwavering belief that we can beat anybody in any given situation. I don't care if we're down 10, 14. We can beat anybody. And that's the kind of feeling I get from this Eagles team.
You get into a game and you prepare and you game plan, and your coaches put you in a game plan because of all the coaching and due diligence and all the film and all the trend work and all the trend books, the playbooks you get. And you get into a game, and all of a sudden, a team like New Orleans or a team like Minnesota or Chicago will do something completely different just in an alignment, or just in something that they're doing, just a subtle move to a guy to the slot, or maybe lining somebody up. And all of a sudden, all the things that you did in your preparation, they find success because this league is all about finding matchups and weaknesses. And what they do is that's why it looks different every week. You can think you're better. We talked about this in the New England week. You can go like this. What's the matchup New England wants? Well,
tight ends on linebackers.
Try to run the ball, and they're going to put the tight ends on them backers. That's what you do. Okay, maybe if you play against San Francisco, do you really want Goddard going against Fred Warner? That might not be the best matchup, but maybe putting Swift in the slot, putting him out there in the slot, getting him out in space, having Hufanga have to drop down on him, and all of a sudden you got Devontae going on a slant. That's how you're playing a game against their weakest player. I'm trying to find that weak player. So it takes time during the game to adjust to that. And when you find that, that's why when they started finding out Nakobe Dean couldn't cover, that's why they went right back to him, right back to him, right back to him, because they knew they were going to get positive yardage. Why did they know that? Not that Dean, again, it's just reps, and the corners are so far off the ball.
It's a lot of space.
You're going to be able to play pitch and catch. You know, they really didn't change their game plan all that much from that first game they played.
No. And then on top of that, you know, this defense is predicated on forcing or expecting the opposing quarterback to make a mistake. They're trying to get these teams to go on, or they're trying to force these teams to go on 10, 11, 12, 13 play drives. They're trying to force them to extend a drive and
don't make a mistake.
And the expectation is that they'll make a mistake. The problem in that game, yes, the expectation is they'll make a mistake, and the expectation is your pass rush will force them to make a mistake and put them in a compromised situation. So you're banking on your pass rush getting home, and you're hoping that your DBs can hold up just long enough, right?
And he did make a mistake, Tone.
He made a mistake in a crucial moment, you know. So that's that's a perfect scenario. That's a perfect example of what they're hinging their defense on.
Yes.
But the issues in the first half and prior to that mistake is that Howell wasn't making any mistakes.
No, he played.
And that was the caveat right there. They didn't expect him to play that well.
Carry that game film and keep it in his pocket because
he better.
That's the best that's the best he may ever play in his entire life.
Yeah, okay? Man. It's fascinating that this guy, two of his best games of his career against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's wild, man.
He's averaging like 315 yards this year.
Right, just off that game alone. Just off that game alone is crazy.
You want to? Hey, we'll close this up here.
Yeah, for sure.
So get this. So the Cowboys are ranked 18th against the run.
I'm running at Micah Parsons. He got to show me. He got to show me that jockstrap type. You know, I'm running right at him. I'm running right at him, man. Because again, that's what they did last year. There's a signature play from last season. I believe it was an AJ Brown. I think it was a Devontae Smith touchdown. They ran an RPO. The running back faked like he was going. The running back, they faked the handoff to the running back. The running back ran left. Jalen Hurts broke right. They got Lane Johnson, to break right as well, and they forced him. They forced Micah Parsons to make a decision. Basically, he either had to play the quarterback, or he had to drop back in coverage, and they literally caught him in no man's land. And Jalen Hurts had the easy touchdown. You dig what I'm saying? So. Yeah. When you put Micah Parsons in a decision-making role on an island like that, you can exploit him. It's all about making the right decision at that point. The Eagles have the recipe. They have the blueprint to beat the Dallas Cowboys. They just got to put their foot on their neck, put the knife in, twist it, and call it a day. Bury him. Halloween ends on next Sunday. Halloween ends next Sunday.
I want to take an old switch off a tree, man, and just take them leaves off there. And I want to whip the Cowboys' ass with a switch on Sunday and just end their guys' thoughts of anything ever in a game.
I want to break their will.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't just want to beat them. I want to break their will.
You understand that Arizona and San Francisco fractured their will. Now you want to break the leg.
That 49ers game did something to them. It did something to them.
It made them insecure.
And I'm on Twitter. I watch a lot of the conversation that goes between the different fan bases and all that kind of stuff. And Cowboys fans right now, they're trying to act like it's just another business trip. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to say,
hey, Tony, you know what I'd be telling you? You know better.
They know better.
You know what I'm gonna do to you. You can tell everybody what you think. Go ahead. You don't. And I'd be saying this kind of shit. Honest to God, hey. If that were me, I'd be like this. Don't talk to your father like that. Do not talk to your father like this. You know better.
Really quick before I get out of here, so I'm glad they beat the Rams like that. I'm glad they beat them like that because I want them to come into this game.
Oh, they are.
I want them to come in overconfident, feeling themselves, thinking that they're just going to just come in Philly and just just go crazy. I want them to feel so confident in themselves because that makes the fall so much more beautiful. The pride always comes before the fall, Sills. It always does. It never fails. We're going to break their will. We're going to break their spirit. We're going to have them grasping for pearls, grasping for Bibles. It's going to be an exorcism on Sunday. I promise you that.
I'm going to put you in a dunk tank, and I ain't going to let you head up. You think
Facts.
you're bobbing for apples? I'm going to drown your ass. Hey, you got a great chance to put them dudes to sleep. By the way, Gary Cobb says he's good to go 4:30 Eastern. So.
Awesome. Sounds good. He has the link, so he should be good to go, man. I always love when G Cobb comes on, man. I love it.
You got it. All right, Tone. Thank you so much, my friend.
Sir, I appreciate it. You already know.
You're right. That's my friend Tone. Does outstanding stuff. Do not forget our great friends at Hooters. 40th anniversary. We have a great opportunity for you guys to end up winning yourself some gift certificates. Here's our winners, Michael and Herman. Congratulations to you. Here on a Football Monday, we'll start it up tomorrow with our gift certificate giveaway. But if you're going in tonight to any one of the locations, all the way from Rhode Island through Jersey, all the way down to King of Prussia, please do us a favor and go into any one of the locations. You can go to northeasthooters.com to find a location nearest to you. If you don't want to go in, HootersToGo.com. That's the app. Our great specials, unbelievable specials. 6 items, $6. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. Fall in Hooters and football. What better combinations do you have than that? Tuesday, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com. When you roll into any one of the facilities, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.